Inflation, jobs, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, we're here to talk about a few of those things on Today in Mortgages. Hey, what's up, Dreammakers? I got a special guest with me today, Austin Baker from our Bunkin Baker branch here in Houston, Texas. Austin, how are you doing?
Doing great, Michael. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Austin. I invited Austin here to talk to us today about some of the conflicting indicators that we're getting from the market right now. As you guys may have seen, we had a jobs report that came out that was really strong, and then we had an inflation report that came out where we saw inflation dip just a little bit, but still heading in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Austin, typically these things don't go hand in hand. The Fed's trying to do two things, and they're pushing and pulling each other. Can you just explain what's going on?
Well, I don't know that I'm necessarily the best person for analyzing that data, but from my perspective, what we're seeing is that changing this trend takes time.
Sure.
And there's going to be things that move faster and things that move slower. And so if you look at inflation, obviously inflation is improving, but a big reason why it doesn't look like it's improving more is because of core, right? And so if you look at labor costs, you look at shelter costs, those are things that are remaining stubbornly high. And a big part of the reason why shelter stuff is staying high is because leases are not typically month to month, right? Whether it's you're talking commercial or otherwise, those are typically going to be 12 months or longer. And so those will start to come down. We think that we'll see core start to drop in the coming months, but we're not surprised that core hasn't improved yet, and that's part of the reason why the inflation picture is a little bit of a mixed bag. As far as employment goes, it's the Fed has acknowledged that as much as they would like for employment to start coming down, this might just be our new and current reality.
Yeah, a lot of people out there still wanting jobs and a lot of jobs still available. We had another guest on a few weeks ago named Hugh. If you didn't get a chance to look at that video, he talked a lot about what Austin just discussed with core inflation and how that indicator is a little bit lagging because of the rents and the leases, and kind of how that's playing into what we're seeing in inflation numbers in the past couple of months and what to expect also in the future. So, Austin, a couple of questions here as it relates to your business. Are your borrowers, are your realtors that you're talking to thinking about this stuff at all?
I would say not really.
Yeah.
What they know that the reports are coming out,
sure,
and they're kind of waiting to see, we've got people that are waiting to lock in their interest rate because we know that certain reports are coming, and we tend to have a decent idea right now of which way those are going to go. And so a lot of times our clients will choose to float until the CPI report posts or until the Fed meets. And so we definitely have some clients that are looking at those things and then making their decisions accordingly, but nobody's deciding whether or not to go under contract right now based off of that information.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not to lock and when to do that.
I think that's what we have to realize is that we're plugged into these things so much, and sometimes our customers are seeing these things and they're kind of thinking about it in the background, but it's really our responsibility to talk through them with these things. So, Austin, how are you talking to your referral partners and your borrowers about this kind of stuff if they ask?
Yeah, well, really our message is what it has been all year, that as soon as we start to see inflation come down, that's going to start to give us the signals that we think the Fed is looking for them to stop raising their rate. And it seems like that's where we are right now. It looks like the Fed might be done with raising their rates. And so we expected this, and now what we expect moving forward is that we're going to start to see mortgage pricing gradually improve throughout the remainder of the year. And so we're not surprised by this data. We've been tracking it. We've been paying attention to all these data points pretty closely for the last few months, and it's essentially behaving the way we expected it to. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, I think it does, and you're right. We had Fed Chair Powell come out a couple weeks ago and indicate as much as that rates may start to taper off. Those, of course, were before the last two reports that we had on jobs and inflation. So we'll see. But again, we don't have a crystal ball here. We're just talking about how we should be talking about these things with our customers. And so talk to me if I'm a borrower, Austin, and I'm worried about this. Talk me off a ledge.
Well, yeah, it's hard to time the market.
Sure.
From a buy standpoint, it's almost impossible to time that. You can time it a little better from a selling standpoint. Last fall, when rates were rising and nobody was wanting to buy because of how high rates were, we told everybody, it was actually a smart market to be purchasing in because people were able to negotiate large amounts of seller credits. They could do temporary buy downs. And the people that were sitting on the sidelines going, I'm going to wait for rates to come down, we told them, if you do that, especially in the Houston market, what you're going to get is a hyper seller's market in the spring. And sure enough, that's exactly what we're in. And rates have not come down yet. We've pretty much stayed in the same range where they were in the fall, maybe come down a little bit from November, but not much. And it's crazy right now. As rates continue to come down, that's just going to push more people into the market. That's going to increase competition. And what we're not having an increase in inventory. And so you've got more buyers trying to buy a limited amount of inventory. It's just going to force those purchase prices to go up and up and up. And so if you are on the sideline right now, I don't know why you're on the sideline.
Right.
And you might have a valid reason for being on the sideline that's personal to you.
Sure.
But if it's from a market standpoint and I'm trying to wait for interest rates to get better, waiting for interest rates to get better is a great way to end up spending a lot more money on that same house.
Austin, thanks so much for coming on today. Hey guys,
My
if
pleasure.
you enjoyed what we're talking about here today, hit that like button, subscribe, share it with a friend. And if you want to learn more about the best network in mortgages, hit the Grow link below, and we would love to talk to you more about that. Again, thanks so much for everyone watching today. Thank you again, Austin, for being on. We'll see you next time on Today in Mortgages. Today in Mortgages is produced by Network Funding LP, which is an equal housing lender, NMLS 2297. The content of this program is meant to be a commentary on mortgage and real estate news, and any discussion of rates and or products should not be taken as an individual mortgage or home buying advice or pricing estimates. And any commentary on this show should not be considered a promise to make a loan. All applicants for a loan must qualify, and you should consult a professional regarding your individual loan scenarios for your financial situation. Visit our website at nflp.com/licenses for all state licensing and other legal information.